brain. This is your brain, not yours in particular, but the largest structure in the brain is the cerebrum. So all this part right here is the cerebrum. Right now you can't really see it because it's covered with what is called the dura mater. Tough mother, really tough. It's the most superficial of your meninges that protect the brain. Okay. Here, back here, you can see the cerebellum. Down here is the spinal cord. I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to identify the structures here. Here you see the olfactory bulb. That's the beginning of cranial nerve 1, or the olfactory nerve. Here is cranial nerve 2, or the optic nerve. This is the optic chiasma. Right now you just need to know the structures. Next week you'll learn what all that means. This is the trigeminal nerve. You see how it has 3 stumps? That's why it's called trigeminal. There's 3 different stumps there. But it's all one nerve, and it's cranial nerve 5 or the trigeminal nerve. Right here, this body that's lying there, that's the pituitary gland. Okay? That's the pituitary gland. Now, sometimes when I do this, I can show you cranial nerve 6. Sometimes I can't. Let me see if I can do it from this other. You guys, what did you do with your cerebellum?
It's right there.
I'm sorry. I never quite saw anybody take off the cerebellum. You did the same thing? Okay, well, we won't worry about cranial nerve 3 for right now. Okay, so I have half of my cerebrum. This is a hemisphere. Is this right or left?
Left.
Left. Right, it's pretty easy, right? So this is the left hemisphere of the cerebrum. This is the cerebellum. Once you've done a sagittal cut, the only way you can tell your pons and your medulla is by counting bumps. The first bump is the pons, the second bump is the medulla. Okay, remember here you can see it. Here you can see the pons and then the medulla. But because they walk on all fours, they kind of smudge all together, and so now you just count bumps. So if I pin here that first bump, you know that's the pons, and that's the medulla. This is the central canal of the spinal cord. Okay, here you can see the corpus callosum. This is the corpus callosum. Below the corpus callosum, you see this dark mass right here. That's the thalamus. The thalamus, in the very middle, you kind of see that little line, that indent. That's the intermediate mass of the thalamus. Below the thalamus is the hypothalamus. This is the hypothalamus. Below the hypothalamus is the pituitary gland. So if you put it like this, you would see that that's the pituitary gland. This right here is a piece of the section of the optic chiasma. Okay, what else do you need to know? This is the cerebellum, this is the arbor vitae, this is the 4th ventricle. The 4th ventricle, which is, a ventricle is an empty cavity. It's not really empty though when you're alive, it's filled with CSF, cerebral spinal fluid. And it's connected to the 3rd ventricle through the cerebral aqueduct. And you can see the cerebral aqueduct coming up here, and this general area right here is the 3rd ventricle. You can see the 4th ventricle because you can put your stick in it. Do you have a stick? Can I have that stick right there? That's good. And right below the corpus callosum, you put your stick in there, and that's the 4th, the lateral ventricle. Sorry, lateral. So you have 2 lateral ventricle. It's connected to the 3rd ventricle. The 3rd ventricle is connected via the cerebral aqueduct to the 4th ventricle. Okay? Any questions? Did I forget anything?
Is 4th ventricle the only ventricle we have to know for the practical?
The lateral and the on the sheep brain and the 4th. The lateral. See? Corpus callosum and then the lateral. Oh, they're not telling you. Okay. You should know it. Okay. That's easy. That's the lateral. and that's the fourth. And I showed you the pineal body, the pineal gland.
I don't think so.
Okay. Next to the corpora quadrigemina, and you have the two halves here. You have the superior caniculus and the inferior caniculus. Do you see that little round body in there?
Mm-hmm.
That's the pineal gland. Okay? Pineal gland. Okay. Any questions? You can take your mutilated brain